All right, so today we're diving into the world of indie games,
Okay.
and getting into what makes them so special,
Oh.
both for players like ourselves and for the people who actually make the games.
It's such a fascinating
Yeah.
area of gaming right now because it's
Ugh,
really exploded
it has exploded.
in the past, like, decade or so.
It's crazy how big it's gotten.
It is.
You know, a while back, indie games were seen as this like niche thing.
Right. Like almost like a novelty. Yeah.
Exactly, like a novelty, exactly. And now they're like
Yeah.
really a major force
Right.
in the gaming world.
They can be just as big as any, like, AAA release now.
Oh, absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and even in some cases, even more impactful, I think.
Yes, for sure.
You know, you've got games like, what was it, Hades, for instance, or Celeste? Those were indie games,
Right.
and they just blew up.
Hugely popular.
Yeah.
And they deserve to be. They're fantastic games.
They are. They're so good.
And I think a big part of that is that indie developers have this freedom, you know?
Yeah.
They're not beholden to like a big corporation
Right. Yeah.
or like publisher demands, you know?
Yeah.
They can just kind of pursue their own vision.
Yeah. It's like they can take risks that like a big studio just couldn't.
Exactly.
So,
And they're not afraid to experiment,
yeah.
which I think is where a lot of the really interesting stuff comes from, you know?
I totally agree. Like, you get some really, like, out there concepts sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, I've never seen this before. This is incredible.
Like Papers, Please,
Oh, yeah. Papers, Please is a great example.
where you're like a border control agent.
Yeah.
You know, no one's making that in like the AAA space, you know what I mean?
So true. And it's like, it sounds kind of boring when you explain it,
Right.
but it's like so compelling when you play it.
Yeah, it's like strangely compelling. You get really
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sucked into it.
Yeah. And then you've got like Undertale, which
Oh.
again completely changes the way you think about like RPG combat.
Right. Totally different
Yeah.
approach to it.
And I feel like indie games, they really prioritize those unique mechanics. You know, they're not always going for like the flashiest graphics or anything like that. It's more about the
Yeah.
gameplay experience.
And the story a lot of times
Yes.
too. Like they have these really, really compelling narratives.
Yeah. And they're not afraid to get weird with it,
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
which I appreciate. I appreciate a good weird game.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I also think it's incredible how accessible
Oh, yeah.
game development has become.
Totally.
Like anybody can make a game these days,
It's true.
you know?
The tools are out there
Yeah.
and they're getting more and more accessible.
Like Unity, for example. You
Yeah.
can do so much with Unity.
It's amazing. And there's so many resources now too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to learn how to use Unity, there's like a million tutorials online.
Yeah.
You can basically take like a free online course
Yes.
and learn everything you need to know,
It's amazing.
which is incredible. I mean, it's never been a better time to be
Yeah.
like an aspiring game
yeah,
developer.
like the tools are there, the resources are there.
It's all there.
It's really kind of amazing.
It is.
But so I think one of the things that I find most compelling about indie games
Yeah.
is that personal touch that you get from them.
Right.
You know, a lot of times these developers are
Mm-hmm.
pouring their heart and soul into these projects.
And they're really passionate.
Yeah.
You can feel it when you play the games.
Yes, exactly. You can feel that passion.
Like a labor of love.
Yes, exactly. And like a great example of that is Celeste, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Where the developer actually wove their own struggles with anxiety
Wow.
into the game itself.
That's powerful.
And it makes for this really powerful and relatable experience.
Right.
Yeah,
Because it's coming from a real place.
exactly.
Yeah. It's not just like some writers in a room, you know,
Yeah,
trying to come up with a story.
exactly. Yeah, and I think that's what really sets
Yeah.
indie games apart, is that
Yeah.
you really feel like you're connecting with the developers on a different level.
And you're supporting them directly,
Yes.
which is another big thing too. When you buy a game from a big studio,
Mm-hmm.
who knows where that money's going, you know?
Right.
But when you buy an indie game,
Yeah.
you know you're supporting that developer directly.
You are directly supporting that person.
Yeah, and their vision.
Yes. So it's like you're part of something
Yeah,
bigger, I think, than just playing a game.
absolutely.
So if anybody's out there listening
Yeah.
and you've ever had that inkling like, oh, I kind of want to make a game.
Do it.
The indie scene is such a great place to start.
It is.
You know, you don't need a big budget or anything, just some passion and an idea.
Take some time.
And some time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big one, right?
Right. That's always the thing.
But I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
You could be the next big indie success story.
Exactly. And it's only going to get more exciting, you know?
Yeah.
The indie scene just going to keep growing.
Oh, absolutely.
So
It's a great time to be a gamer.
it really is.
For sure.
So yeah, as you dive into the world of indie games,
Mm.
just keep in mind, you know,
Yeah.
all the things that make them special,
Mm-hmm.
the stories, the gameplay, the heart.
The creativity.
Yes, the creativity. And
It's just different, you know? It's a
yeah,
different kind of gaming experience.
you're right. It really is.
Yeah.
And you just might be surprised
Mm-hmm.
by what you find.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, this
Fun.
was fun.
Yeah.